When I first started learning drawing, one thought I constantly had was, where should I drop this line? I guess it's here, it feels about right. And I did that for a long time. I was constantly guessing the proportions, guessing the angles, and guessing the sizes. If that sounds all familiar, today I want to share with you a few tips that really helped with my observation and stopped me from doing that mindless guessing. And on top of that, I would also like to share a few more tips that really helped me execute and think better as an artist. So the first category is about how to observe better, and these three tips can really help you. They are angles, plumb lines, and negative shapes. Let me explain them by drawing this chair here together. So let's say first I want to establish the angle of this leg. Then instead of, guessing, I'll line up this pencil with the leg, get the angle, and then drop that same angle on the paper. Or I'm using my iPad here, but you get the idea. So I have this angle of the leg established. Then I can do the same, for example, for this backrest. So I'll line up it again and then drop that same angle. I don't need to worry about where the line ends right now because I just want to establish the big angles and I can always remove the unneeded part later on. So with that, we can establish these major lines that we see for this chair. Then we can move on to plumb line. So what plumb line does is that you can either hold your pencil vertically or horizontally and choose a reference point, check what's above or below or next to your reference point. For example, I don't know how long this side of the chair should be, so I can choose this corner as my reference point. Then I'll run a straight line across. I can see it's slightly to the left of the other corner, and it's kind of right above the leg where it touches the ground. So that's how I decide where this corner should turn and how long the leg should go. And same idea, you can run a horizontal line and check what's to the left or to the right of your reference point. During the construction phase of the drawing, this is what I do constantly to check for proportion and to make sure things are lining up correctly. And last but not least, negative shape. So we often talk about shape or positive shape, which is kind of the area formed inside the edges. And negative shape is just the shapes that formed around the outside of the edges or the edges with its surrounding area. And for example, here are all the negative shapes we can see with this chair. In this case, we have so many more negative shapes that we can use to guide our drawings compared to positive shapes. When I'm adding this final leg for this chair, I'm also checking whether the negative shapes match up roughly with what I see in the reference. You can even practice drawing by using only negative shapes. I've done it before, it's kind of brain-racking, but was fun as well. So this is my final drawing of the chair. I'm not the best at capturing the proportions 100% correct, but hopefully I still get the idea across. At first, you may need to constantly remind yourself of these techniques, but over time, they will really become second nature. You won't even realize you're using them. I'm editing the video right now, and there's a quick point I would like to add. Using these techniques to measure doesn't mean we need to make everything line up perfectly. First off, it's really hard to do, as you already saw in my drawing, so there will still be guesses. But the difference is, this time it's going to be educated guesses based on what we actually see in the reference. Now, back to our video. One way to really push yourself to work on these techniques is to draw things upside down. Because when you turn things upside down, your brain won't recognize anything, so it kind of got temporarily shut down. It won't start pulling information about what it remembers of the reference. Then you are kind of forced to observe, and that's when these techniques can really help you. So now we know how to observe better. The next step is to put what we see onto the page. So for the second category, let's talk about execution. First, get your pencil sharpened. I used to be super lazy, so I just draw with a blunt pencil until I realized very late how much better my drawing would look with just using a more sharpened pencil. If you don't want to sharpen your pencil manually, I would highly recommend you get an electronic pencil sharpener like these ones. They're really going to make your life a lot easier. And the next tip I have is draw with your arm. As a beginner, we all tend to do these chicken scratches. And I just thought drawing like a really straight line or a nice circle was something impossible. But that can actually be done very easily just by using your arm. You can just grab some print paper and draw as large as you can and really feel the motion of moving your whole arm. And over time, you will really feel the difference, and you can see how much better your line quality becomes just by drawing with your arm. Moving on to the third tip, that is, don't grip so hard on your pen or pencil, be loose. Think about the first time when you learned how to drive. You were really nervous, so you try to grip on that steering wheel super hard, but that won't help you drive better at all. And it's the same thing here. If you grip onto the pen or pencil so hard, then it's gonna kind of lock yourself up. Then you cannot really make these big gesture movements to get the smooth lines. And on top of that, you will put a lot of strains on your fingers and wrist. And you may develop some chronic pains, which is the last thing you want to experience if you want to do this for the next 10, 20 years. So really relax your grip, don't choke up on it. And our next point is, don't get hyper-focused in one area. You should walk around your drawings and continuously bring everything up at the same time. Because if you already get one area super polished, what if later you realized, oh, some proportion is actually off, or there's just something I need to change about it? Then at this point, it's already too late. You either need to erase that whole area, or you need to adjust the rest of the drawings to match what you already put down, which is also kind of impossible to do at this point. And this works hand in hand with my next point, which is you should lean back and zoom out. And when you do that, you will catch proportion issues very early on when it's still very easy to adjust. The last thing we want to do is spend all that time polishing this beautiful eye until later we realize it's too big for the head. So really constantly try to lean back. You can hold your drawing at arm's length like this, and you will see your own mistakes very clearly. Okay, with that out of our way, let's talk about the third category, how to think better as an artist. This will sound super simple, but basically, you need to think in terms of form instead of just the contour lines or the shapes. This is especially important when drawing from photo reference, because by default, an untrained brain and eye will only see the contour lines or the shapes. But nothing in real life is on a flat surface. Everything has volume and everything has its form. And in order for the drawings to look good, we have to show the solidity of the form on a flat surface. So for example, if I need to draw this tiger, what I need to do is not to copy the lines, but to really ask myself, what are the forms underneath it? Oh, the head can be actually thought as a ball, the muzzle is like a box, and the limbs are cylinders and a body is a larger box. You can practice this way of thinking by doing what I'm doing here, to draw the forms over the photo reference. You don't have to use an iPad. Using tracing paper over some prints works just as good. Just remember to really draw through the form. So draw all the edges, even the ones that you can't see. This is really how you push yourself to think in terms of form. Another great way to practice this is to draw contour lines. So let's take these legs as an example. So what I can do here is to draw the lines to really show how the muscles wrap around the leg. I don't have a lot of anatomy knowledge myself, but I think I can still manage to do this. But if you find this too challenging, you can always start with some simple shapes. By doing that, you will really push yourself to think how these forms turn in 3D space, and you will never look these as just flat images anymore. Okay, I hope you find this helpful. I'll see you next time. Bye!